Hey Faith Family, welcome to the Beyond Sunday podcast at Calvary Bible, where we go beyond the Sunday sermon to explore some rabbit holes and to bring some biblical truths to the surface. We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
Calvary Bible Church, welcome back to Beyond Sunday. And if you're watching, you know that I'm not sitting here with Pastor Randy. This is, should we call you Pastor Trey for the day? No. Okay, we've got Trey Newland. Trey, son of Ray. DJ Trey. I've got all kinds of nicknames for him. But Trey Newland is on the podcast today, one, because Pastor Randy's out of town. Do you know where he is, Trey?
No, I don't.
Okay, he's up in Massachusetts. He's teaching at Gordon Conwell Seminary. So he's out of town for the week. And just so you guys know, Trey, we were eating pizza on Sunday. And I don't know, was it you or your dad that was telling me about this idea?
No, it was me actually, and that was during ice cream.
Oh, was it are you sure it was the ice cream?
It was the ice cream shop. Yeah.
Okay, so now you know, Trey and I had a really big day. Mother's Day was a big deal for us. We had pizza and ice cream. And yeah, so suggested this Beyond Sunday Junior, the Junior podcast. And why did you think this was a good idea?
Because the kids and even some adults are just like why I don't understand the podcast and not the sermon, and I don't understand anything, so we just need something a little bit smaller for them to chew on.
I'm going to take blame for that because I need to lay things out on the podcast so that you do understand. It's perfect for me. So now we know moving forward how I'm going to ask questions so that Trey can understand. All right, good. All right, so Trey, on Sunday, we were in Psalm 88, right? Pastor Randy described it as the darkest psalm of them all. Mm-hmm. The darkest psalm in the Psalter.
Yeah.
Do you know what the word Psalter means?
No.
Okay, it's another word for the book of Psalms. It's a shorter version. If you say the Psalter, it just means the book of Psalms. Okay?
Wow.
All right. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay, Trey's got that. So Trey was doing some homework and doing some research, and we're going to kind of do this podcast like we've done it before, except for I'm the one who doesn't know what the questions are, and I'm going to do my best to answer as adequately as I can. So Trey brought some questions for us this week. So Trey, why don't you get us going here?
Yeah. So I just he said it a couple times. It was what's the dark night of the soul?
The dark night of the soul. I don't know where that phrase comes from, the dark night of the soul, but my guess is it's some kind of a cultural reference. Let me see if we can type this in here. The Dark Knight. It's not a Batman reference. Okay. It's a poem. It's a poem, The Dark Night of the Soul by John of the Cross. But I think just what he said that for was because this psalm in particular was one that, like I said just a minute ago, it's extremely depressing. Like there's not a lot of silver lining to it. And by silver lining, I mean like a dark cloud. It seems heavy, but sometimes when the sun's behind it, you see the silver lining of it and you say, oh, that's really pretty. But the cloud itself is dark and heavy. And this psalm doesn't even seem like it's one that has much of a silver lining to it. It's just a very, very heavy psalm. So that's a good first question. Good. What else you got for us, Trey?
Well, so when we went to 1 Peter, I was wondering, how is the power of God guarding us through faith?
Do you remember the reference to the 1 Peter?
It's like 1 Peter 1 5 to 7.
1 Peter 1, 5 to 7?
Yeah.
And ask that question one more time.
It was how is the power of God guarding us through faith?
Okay, yep, you got the reference right there. So I'll read that. How is the power of God guarding us through, let's say, the dark night of the soul. So let's read this verse. It says, who, us, by God's power are being guarded through faith for a salvation ready to be revealed in the last time. In this you rejoice, though now for a little while, if necessary, you have been grieved by various trials, so that the tested genuineness of your faith, more precious than gold that perishes, though it is tested by fire, may be found to result in praise and glory and honor at the revelation of Jesus Christ. So your question is, how does God do that? That's a really good question, Trey. I would say the way that God guards us through faith is by first and foremost doing what he did for us on the cross. And so we read a psalm like Psalm 88, and this psalmist, Heman the Ezrahite, which we didn't go into much detail there, but we'll just say the psalmist, the guy who wrote it, when he's writing this psalm, he's saying, God, and I think the way Pastor Randy put it was, you're killing me. My soul is full of troubles. My life is near the grave. And so when you're feeling, and I don't know if you've felt this way before, but probably at least to an extent, you've felt sad or you've felt heavy, like something's just really on your mind or your heart, just bothering you. And when we're in moments like that, the primary way that God guards us through faith is a faith in, first we've got to ask what. So faith in Jesus Christ. So let's bring this to like the Beyond Sunday junior level. Okay. What are some things, here's my question for you. Okay. What are some things that like kids your age, you're in 6th grade, right? So let's just say intermediate school or maybe up into the junior high, or, I mean, you've got older sisters. So like, what are some things that we'll just say teenagers or preteens, like what makes them feel heavy or like, oh, I can't do it anymore. I can't take this. I feel so down.
Well, for some people, it's just when people just don't like you and they don't invite you to places. They don't engage you in conversations.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So feeling like you're on the outside and you're looking in at all the people having fun and you're on the outside. Absolutely. I think it's a great answer. All right. So let's take that as an example. If that is something that is a constant thing that you're feeling and wrestling with and fighting, because for some people it is and for some people it's not. Some people might be, very well liked, but I could see this psalmist saying what you just said. Man, I just feel like such an outsider, like no one is welcoming me. And I think, yeah, right, in this psalm, it closes with, you have caused my beloved and my friend to shun me. My companions have become darkness, right? So take the example that you just gave, right? Someone who doesn't have, a lot of friends, or the people who are in his grade or class don't talk to him a whole lot, but maybe they've got a couple of friends. And now imagine those friends, and we were talking about this earlier, some of the friends you've made at Donegal this year. Imagine those friends saying, I don't want to be friends with him anymore, and treating you like an outsider and treating you really poorly. You would feel terrible, wouldn't you? I would. If my wife, my beloved, if all of a sudden she started treating me just really poorly and my close friends started saying mean things about me, and this is kind of where Job was, and Pastor Randy brought him up, like his friends were like really not helping, you might feel like your soul is close to the grave, like just really low. So in that moment of faith, God guarding us, to get back to 1 Peter, right? He's guarding us through faith. The way, there's a number of ways that you can cope with that or like get through that difficult season. I don't want to throw guidance counselors under the bus, but a guidance counselor or a secular psychologist would say, how do you think they would encourage you to get through that?
Just maybe like start somewhere else where other
Okay.
people would accept you.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Maybe try to make new friends, okay? And that's not a bad idea, okay? We don't want to say that all their ideas are bad. That's a fine idea. And they might say something like, well, Trey, just, think about the things that are really positive about you. And, you've got a good sense of humor, and that's something that you can cling to, right? You got a bright smile. Show the camera that smile. There it is. So, you know what I mean? Like, and again, and those are good, fine things. But if God's guarding us in really hard days through faith, right, He's guarding us through faith in Jesus Christ. And so for you, based on what the Bible tells us, I'm going to tell, I say you, but anyone who's in that situation you just laid out for us, or a similar situation, to put their faith in Jesus Christ, recognizing that Christ, right, here's a fact, Jesus died for them on the cross. Why? Because He loved them, right? So we're loved by a Savior, you and I, and even in the dark night of the soul, that's a truth we can cling to. And then I would also say that very similarly, we can find comfort in the fact that God is our creator. He made us in His image. And so I think that's the place that we start. When we can go back to the scriptures and let those promises, the truths of the Bible, the verses, some that we've memorized, let those things inform us or shape us, so that when we do have a really difficult season and we feel like we're on the outside, that faith in God and His Word and what Christ has done for us, those are the things that guard us in moments like that. So that when our faith is tested, that's what shines through. Faith in Jesus Christ, not faith in, your good looks and charm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what your guidance counselor has to say isn't a bad idea, right? To go make new friends, or to think about, remember some of the things that you do have going for you, right? Rejoice in those things. But foundationally, I think you want to let the Bible be the thing that shapes you there, and the truths that we find in Christ.
Yeah.
Any questions about that one? Feel free to ask a question. Nothing? Okay. Do you have any other questions on your sheet?
No.
No other questions. Okay. Well, Trey, let me just let me close with this. Psalm 88 was it was Mother's Day. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yep. So Psalm 88 was a difficult psalm to cover on Mother's Day because it was just so dark and deep. Here's verse 6. You have put me in the depths of the pit, in the regions dark and deep. Okay. And one of the things I have grown to appreciate about the Psalms is that they describe life for us, the ups and downs. So we've got some psalms that are rejoicing, that are praiseworthy and joyful and upbeat, and then you have ones that are down in the depths. And you're a song guy, right? Do you have songs that you're like, when you're feeling good, you like to throw them on the playlist?
Yeah.
All right, DJ Trey, do you want to throw a song out there? It's one of your go-tos.
I don't know, for like a light upbeat song.
Yeah, like you're feeling good. You're rolling with the windows down.
I think like "Jump Out the Whip" by Tadashi.
Oh, okay. There you go. Jump out the whip.
Yeah.
Okay, Tadashi's a good one. He's one of my faves. So you throw those psalms in there because we've got some of those in the Psalter. But there's also songs. Do you have a song when you're not feeling good?
Yeah.
What's one of those?
Like an NF song or something. Yeah, like one of those like soft songs, like even just like worship song. Some of those are
Okay.
like if you like just like quiet songs.
Okay, good. Actually, it's funny you mentioned NF. I wondered if you would go there because a lot of his songs have that kind of life's not real good right now kind of a vibe to it. And I think that type of song there, like one of those NF songs, really resonates with Psalm 88, where, NF might say in a song, he just wants his life, wants it to be over. It's just, I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of wrestling through this, and I'm just done. But he hasn't gone that route. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and part of the light is seeing what the psalmist knows, and that's that God in the very beginning is the God of his salvation, right? And so, yeah, that's just my closing thought for us. I really appreciate the Psalms in this way, and this was a heavy one, but I'm sure there are people in our church right now. This is always something to keep in mind, just as a faith family. There's people in our church right now who are feeling this, Psalm 88, and it's heavy. And then we walk alongside them in that. So hopefully this psalm speaks to them and encourages us, because we're going to be there too, right? There's days where we're going to be a Psalm 88 kind of guy. And we want to still cry out to God.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Do you have any jokes to close out the podcast?
Put me on the spot like this.
Yeah, come on, man. Do you got a good one?
Wow. Good.
Can I ask you one?
Yes, Dad.
Do you know what kind of bee drops things?
A fumblebee.
Yeah, pound that. You've been listening. All right, good job. You're quicker than Randy is, though. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, thanks for listening to the podcast. Trey, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you.
Might have to do this again sometime. Hey, so seriously, though, if you have any questions, you can always email them into podcast@cbcmj.com. Trey, you brought some good questions to the table. Keep it up. Do it again. Email me. Okay? I know you will. And we're happy to talk about them from one week to the next, breaking down the sermon, talking about what it means beyond Sunday. That's what it's all about. So we'll do it again. Okay?
Yep.
You good?
Yeah.
All right. Faith family, we'll see you on Sunday.
Thanks again for joining us on today's episode. And remember, our Sunday sermons are meant to lead us to a life of worship beyond Sunday.